So I've started a new project. This will be a glowing moon lamp. So this will consist of several bits of work. The first one will be actually printing the moon, then we'll build some electronics, and then we'll build a base, and then finally we'll assemble the complete glowing moon. So we'll start off by printing the moon component of the lamp. So the first thing we're going to need is a moon model for our lamp. Now if you go to Thingiverse, there's already a really nice NASA CGI Moon Kit 2019 moon lamp, and this already has some really nice files that we can reuse. So I'm going to use the 5-inch moon, so I'll download this file and then we'll prepare it for printing. Now, it's a bit too large to really manipulate inside Fusion 360, so I'm going to use Blender to prepare it for printing. So I've launched Blender, I'll just create a new file. It starts off with a box as default, so let's just select that and delete it using the X button. And now we'll import our moon model. So we go File, Import, STL, and then let's find our moon lamp and import this file. Now this can take a few moments to import because it's quite a complex file. So our moon has been imported. We'll have to zoom out quite a bit to actually see it. So let's zoom out, and there you can see we have a pretty nice moon. So what I want to do is give it a flat bottom so we can print it, and also cut out a hole so that we can slide this over our heatsink and LED. So the first thing I'll do is give it a flat bottom. So what we'll do is we'll add a cylinder. So you can see here we have the add cylinder. We'll bump up the number of vertices. So let's make that 128. Now our radius, so I know my heatsink is 50mm in diameter. So we'll have a 5mm gap around that, so 2.5mm all around it. And I'd quite like a lip of 5mm. So that's 50 plus 5, and then 5 on each side will be 65 in diameter. So 65 divided by 2 is 32.5. And for our depth, we'll just make this 5 deep. So that's our cylinder added. So let's move it into the right position. So we'll pick the move. Now we can move our cylinder down to the bottom of our moon. So looking at this, I think probably around about there. So we'll need to obviously clean this bottom up and cut the hole. So first of all, let's combine our cylinder. Now let's cut out the hole for the heatsink. So let's add another cylinder. So add mesh cylinder, and this time we'll do 55mm diameter. So that will be 55 divided by 2, which is 27.5. And this time we'll make the depth quite large because we're going to use this for cutting things out. So depth of 20, and now let's move this down to here. So you can see it will slice through our other cylinder and the moon. So let's do the slicing. So we want to combine the moon with our first cylinder and then cut our second cylinder out from that object. So we go to the modifier properties and we'll add a Boolean modifier to the moon object, and we'll do a union with the first cylinder we added. So let's apply that. And then we'll do another Boolean modifier. And this time we'll take the difference and we'll use the second cylinder we added and apply that. So now let's delete the second cylinder. So we'll select it, hit the X button and hit delete. And then we also delete the first cylinder we added. So we select it, hit X and hit delete. So we're almost there with modifying our moon. You can see there are still some rough parts on the base of our moon. So what we'll do is we'll quickly clean up those. So we'll go add, mesh, cylinder. We'll just add any radius provided it's big enough, and depth we can leave as 20. So let's move this down and we'll place it so it just overlaps our bottom cylinder. And then once again we'll apply a modifier to our moon lamp. We'll do a Boolean modifier, we'll do the difference, and we'll do the difference between this new cylinder we've just added. So hit apply. And now we can delete this cylinder as well. So X, delete. And now you can see we have a perfectly smooth bottom to our moon. We have a hole for our heatsink and LED. So what we can do is we can now save this STL file. So we'll go File, Export, STL, and we'll call this moon with hole STL, and we hit export. So that file's now exported. We can switch into Cura and load it in. So let's do File, Open File, onto our moon lamp. Open up our moon with hole STL. And it's loaded in our model. So you can see it should print. Now for the print settings, we need to set the infill to 100%. So our infill density 100. And I'm going to print using a brim just to make sure it does stick to the print bed. So let's find our support. So let's find our build plate adhesion, and we'll change this to brim, and I think that should probably be okay. So now let's hit slice. We'll save to file, and then we'll print. So that's our print complete, and it's come out pretty well. No issues with extrusion. So in the next video we'll start looking at prototyping the hardware for actually shining the light inside of the lamp. So see you next time.